Hey everyone, welcome to this Space Marine 2 Beginner's Guide, where we're going to talk about a lot of helpful hints and tips to get you started in the game. Alright, so first of all, when you load up the game and you start to unlock the campaign and all the other game modes like Eternal War, which is PvP, and Operations, which is PvE, we do recommend playing through the campaign first. They really recommend that you play through the main story first, so you can actually get a full grasp on the story as well as the endgame levels of play that will kind of just benefit you and your team in PvE and PvP. Why this benefits you is because one, you get used to all the different types of weapons, then you also get used to how the game mechanics work, how the parry system works, how the melee works, how the weapons work, all of it combines into the gameplay, including the special abilities that you'll unlock through the game. Now, there are different classes and all sorts when it comes to the Operations and Eternal War, but you play as Titus in the campaign, so you get used to kind of like one similar type of playstyle to help you get used to the game. Now, when you're playing through the campaign, there are 4 difficulty levels that you can pick from. You want to pick this, and you can obviously change this as you go along, but you want to make sure that you're comfortable playing through the campaign, because you do obviously want to unlock the Operations and Eternal War game modes, probably as soon as you can, while obviously still enjoying the campaign. So you have easy mode, which is balanced for a better story experience, enemies are less aggressive, health and armor are greatly increased. You have normal, which is supposed to be like a fair gameplay challenge, enemies are moderately aggressive and resources need to be managed wisely. Then you have veteran, which sets up as an intended experience, and this is where the enemies are dangerous and you have to be tactful and skillful players rewarded for that. So the last one is called Angel of Death, and this is where the serious challenge comes in. Enemies are so much tougher and more aggressive, and recovery after mistakes is much harder because even in normal mode, let me tell you now, in normal mode, enemies will still mess you up if you mess up a parry, and it's just, oh, I wouldn't want to see what happens in Veteran or Angel of Death mode because you are just going to get messed up. So while playing through the campaign, you're going to have access to a bunch of new weapons, which are melee weapons, your secondary, and even your primary weapon. And you'll be able to unlock a place called the Armoring Hall in between missions, where you can go and customize your Space Marine, and even your loadouts. Now, I do recommend using some of the more powerful stuff while you're actually playing the campaign, just to get through it quicker, because you have to fight more harder enemies as the campaign goes along. So my personal recommendation is the Stalker Bolt Rifle for primaries, then the Plasma Pistol for a secondary weapon, and the Power Sword for the melee weapon. Now, just another quick hint for you guys, that if you hold down the melee button with your Power Sword out, you will actually swap between 2 modes, the Power mode and the Speed mode, I think that's what it's called. So one attacks faster and one attacks slower but hits harder. Now, both modes are pretty good. I really like the Speed mode on the Power Sword, but all of these weapons will get you through the campaign very well. Please do not be afraid of trying out other weapons though, because there are just some fantastic weapons within Space Marine 2. And, you know, the more you get used to them in the campaign, the better you're going to be equipped when you jump into Operations and PvP. Now, when you've started playing the game and you've unlocked Operations and you started slowly going through it, you'll notice that there are a bunch of menus before you even jump into Operations. And this is where it gets really cool, right? So you'll notice that you can pick a primary weapon based on your class. Now, the weapon that you can equip will change depending on the classes. We'll speak more about classes in a moment, but you'll be able to pick a weapon. Now, with this weapon comes the ability to actually upgrade your weapon. So you'll need to be able to like upgrade it, and as you go through Operations, you'll be able to unlock different versions of them, because you start with a standard, then you unlock a master crafted, then an artificer gun, and then a relic version of it too, which is like, it gives you multiple different options in that class to kind of like boost up your stats for that gun. But obviously you want the relic ones because they're like your legendary guns, you know, your exotic weapons basically. And they're the best ones at the end of the day. So you really want to be upgrading your weapons. But weapons also come with their own perk trees too. So you want to make sure you're selecting the right perks for your weapon, or just perks which in general help your build depending on the class you're playing. Now, when it comes to perks, this also counts for your class. Classes have 9 core like perks to pick from, 1 out of 3 team perks, and another 9 gear perks too, and a choice of 3 signature perks from the top. So overall, you'll be able to equip 8 perks for your class throughout Operations and PvP. So make sure that you're actually equipping your perks as well, just so you can have the best Space Marine you can in Operations, because you're going to need it for those higher difficulties. Now, another quick tip is while you're doing operations is to look for something called armory data and gene seeds. These are like hidden pickups in the maps that you can, find just by exploring the map. And once you do that, you'll be able to take them to the end of the mission, and they will grant more XP, so you can level up your Space Marine, which gives you more perks, and it will also help you with weapon upgrades too. So overall, this is just what you want. Gene seeds are there for XP, armory data is there for your weapon upgrades, so keep an eye out for those. Now, talking about the campaign and operations, there are two indicators that you need to look for. We mentioned a bit about parrying and the mechanics of dodging and whatnot before. However, what you'll notice is that there are indicators that appear on the enemies when they're attacking you. So when you see a blue indicator, it's like a big blue circle, that is your chance to parry an attack. So you want to make sure you always parry. You can obviously dodge, because some people do prefer just dodging everything. But the parry system in this game is very, very good when you can pull it off. So when you see a red one, that is the symbol of saying you can't parry this, you need to just dodge. And then, you're basically getting out of the danger instead of just tanking all the damage and then letting them have a wombo combo on you. Now, another thing with dodging and parrying, or when you knock back an enemy, is you'll sometimes see like a little red reticle appear on an enemy. Now, if you go to shoot the enemy with just your right trigger or on keyboard the right click, you'll notice that it does like a weird perspective on your character and you'll just blast the creature in the head. Now, this is called a gun strike and it is absolutely awesome. So make sure you do that too. Now, when you go back to operations, you'll notice that you have a choice of 1 out of 6 classes at the start. Now, you can play as any of these 6 classes, and chances are you might have to, because when you're in a random PvE lobby, every player must have a different class. So you'll need to get used to the classes, which are Tactical, Assault, Vanguard, Bulwark, Sniper, and Heavy. Now, for new beginners like yourselves, here's the classes I would recommend. So straight away, for best for beginners, you're looking at the Tactical class. This is your jack of all trades class. Melee and ranged is very good on it. It has decent mobility, offensive skills, and defensive skills, and is very adaptable for any situation. Now, when it comes to those melee characters, because I know a lot of people just like straight up melee, you're looking at the Assault class. This is probably the best melee AoE ability like character class in the game. It's perfect for jumping into battle and mowing down different hordes, and it has probably above average mobility too, just because of how quick you can fly around the map with your melee skills. Now, I know there's a Sniper class, and for a lot of you guys who like to stick at ranged and deal damage from afar, it's not actually the best ranged class out there. The Heavy class is, because you have huge heavy guns, and those huge heavy guns give it the highest DPS, but they also allow you to just fight from a ranged combat scenario, Even though you do trade low mobility for it, but you do have high defensive capabilities and high damage, which is slightly better than the Sniper. Of course, these are just my recommendations for new players. You don't have to go with these. If you want to join a mission as the Vanguard, Assault, or Bulwark, please feel free, or even the Sniper or whoever, then feel free. You don't have to follow my recommendations, but these are really good. My personal favorite that I jumped in at first is the Tactical, and it really is a jack of all trades. So I really cannot fault it for being on my list of best early game classes. You're just going to feel like you're having a great time. Once you get used to the different classes and level them up and start building for endgame, you'll feel a lot better going into those higher difficulties. And honestly, guys, it is so much fun. Anyway, guys, that's it for this very quick beginner's guide video. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, please click the like button and subscribe for more Warhammer Space Marines 2. And I'll see you again in the future.